There's nothing more difficult on a Sea of Thieves than solo slooping. I mean, sure, the sloop is easy enough to handle for one pirate alone, but fact of the matter is that it was designed for 2 people to man it, and getting shot off your deck just once could mean the end of your adventure. You are a one-man army, scouting, firing, repairing, defending, and looting. Everything is your responsibility to take. So why would anybody willingly expose themselves to that sort of torment? I mean, hey, do you really need me to spell it out for you? Sometimes you just want to go on adventures, but there's nobody around to help you. And let's be real, the challenge of solo slooping creates many a great tale you can tell at the tavern. For those of you fortunate enough to find yourself surrounded by a crew every time you set sail, it might be interesting to see what kinds of challenges you face when sailing alone. So join me as we take fights, fix plights, and at the end, see the lights. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sea of Tales. The first step to becoming a successful solo slooper is by setting realistic goals. Let's be honest, you're probably not going to be stacking ashen vaults without somebody or something stepping on your toes, but there's still money to be made. What better time than now to do a proper commodity run after the comment section yelled at me about how inefficient my way of going about it was. Under the care of the Merchant Alliance, I began sorting my commodities and set sail on the exact route dictated to me by Merfolk's Lullaby. And of course, I immediately ran into another crew. Most of you probably know my Merchant Codex. I had no intention to start fights that would take away from the profitability of my run, and being a fellow merchant, I hope to see eye to eye with the other sloop. But something told me that their attempt at blunder sniping was not an act of kindness. I wouldn't be able to sell a damn thing at the outpost so long that this guy is on my heels, which means that I had to commit to that fight. The difficulty of having to do everything myself immediately became very apparent, but hey, such is simply the life of a solo slooper, isn't it? I was lucky that neither of us were particularly good shots, and since both of us were on our own, it was about as fair a fight as you can ask for on the seas. But fair also means slow. We've been at this pathetic exchange of cannonballs for way longer than I'm willing to admit, and truth be told, my patience was running out. When a stray cannonball knocked me off my ship, I figured I might as well take the opportunity to stop this lunatic from wasting my time. His ship was easily boarded, and it was clear that I caught him by surprise. Winning the duel was no issue, but the problem was that he had repaired all the damage I dealt in the time it took me to swim over. The best idea I had was stealing some firebombs and setting his vessel ablaze before returning to my own. This should give me some time to get back into position and finish his fight, except... yeah, that kinda sucked. Now, obviously, I take full responsibility for my impatience taking over and going for a board instead of keeping my ship afloat, but fate was really taking the piss when it forced me to fight a bunch of sirens at the cost of my entire food supply. But hey, at least the other guy's ship was still there, so maybe I can make a comeback? Well, not with a shark chomping at my toes. I was doomed if I do and doomed if I don't, so I tried to go for one last Hail Mary, but getting as much as glanced by a bullet was enough to take me out, which is exactly what happened. Fate giveth and fate taketh away. At least I woke up not too far away from where I sunk, and you know dang well that I'm about to go and reclaim my commodities. I'm sure that gold per hour value everyone taunted me with also considered me getting attacked because the route literally takes me through the middle of the gosh dang ocean. Screw that. The comment section had let me down, so it was time to get my revenge. A quick drive by an outpost to raise an emissary was in order, but this time I would come back as a reaper. There's more than one way to make money on the seas, and I had every intention of proving it. My target had not come very far, so revenge was definitely on the table, though to win that fight I needed to be prepared. A few resource crates should tip the scale in my favor, though I had to make sure to end this fight as soon as I can. With a fresh vessel under my boots and a pile of supplies to waste, it was time for round 2. The fight was won, but I had a longer game in mind. Remember what I said on the last episode about always negotiating for my position of power? You know, that same episode in which I made clear that I'm willing to forsake profitability for a safe route because ultimately you make no money off anything if somebody sinks you along the way? I'm not salty about the comment section, you are. I had to show this guy that I was more than capable of taking him out to make the prospect of joining my alliance more enticing. This is also a great display of why solo slooping is so dangerous, because he had like no chance to react to me sitting on the ship waiting for his return. But anyway, Anyway, my offer was made and his ship was sunk as a sign of dominance, so I returned to my vessel that I'm sure did not take any damage as I let it sail into the sunrise. Oh, that's not good. At that point, I felt like wondering where the fire came from would only draw upon the wrath of Rare even more, so I simply made my way to a fort, waiting for that sloop to come back so that we could share the loot and alliance up. But things aren't always all that simple, and what ended up happening definitely caught me by surprise. So I had a bit of time to kill until that guy rolled up again, and since there was no reason not to clear the fort in advance, I went about doing exactly that. I was a bit caught off guard over the appearance of a new enemy type, the Jailer, which I hadn't seen before, but he didn't prove much more of a challenge than the rest of the spooky lads, so I didn't think twice about it. The rest of these guys would meet their end in fire and brimstone as I tossed bombs at them from the safety of my ship. Unfortunately, I ran out of bombs eventually, and my ship no longer felt as safe as I wanted it to. But this wasn't a problem I couldn't solve, and eventually all the phantoms were disposed of. Though I found myself with a prison key that I didn't know what to do with. We all know that the prisons are empty, right? So no point hanging on to that. Let's go open that vault. Oh, never mind, that other dude is already here. I guess we might as well open the vault together. I gotta make sure I don't come off as threatening to him, though. I mean, look, I even apologized for sinking him. Surely we're gonna be cool, right? Well, time to do this again, I guess. Quick blunderbomb to stop him from laying into my ship, followed by an uncontested board. After exchanging a few swipes with our swords, he decided to retreat into the water, and as much as I didn't have to chase him, I did it anyway, thinking I could put an end to this immediately. But after whiffing 5 consecutive shots, I decided, yeah, that's not it, chief, and went back on the ship. A timely sword dash should put the fear of Davy Jones in as hard as I go to rate his food supply. Turned out he also just had bananas like me, so I ended his suffering with a shot that did finally connect before returning to my vessel to make sure it stays afloat. And yeah, there was a lot of repairing to do. Naturally, I exchanged a favor and unloaded whatever amount of cannonballs I had left just to not give him a moment to fire back. I was fairly certain that he would not see this board coming, but much to my surprise, he was more than ready to get me off his ship, and with me only having bananas left to munch on, chances were that I wasn't gonna survive this duel. But since we were so evenly matched, I gave him one final chance to accept my alliance offer so that all this fighting wasn't for naught, to middling effect unfortunately. His vessel sank before he could take me out, so in a last-ditch act of defiance, he decided to set my ship ablaze, just like really annoy me, I guess. I suppose there were no friends to be made that day, so I took my vault key and went to collect my treasure past the empty jail cell, which... oh, that's awkward. Nah, I'm just kidding, guys. You didn't actually think I tossed the key, did you? I'm not usually one for canned adventures, but since I was right here anyway, I might as well take that enchanted vessel to Belle and see what I get for it. But before I can do that, I have to hit up Larina because legend says that she has a favor to ask, and the adventure begins. Though not the kind that I was expecting, because apparently I was not done fending for my life just yet. I was surprised over that guy deciding to come back for another tussle, going as far as to bringing a Reaper flag? Hey, I mean, I like that confidence, but it's a shame for him that I had no intention to fight him head on again. As fun as it is to combat PvP hungry pirates that have no loot on board, every fight you take as a solo slooper is exponentially more dangerous because a single cannonball to the noggin can be your end. I decided to try and outmaneuver my enemy by forcing them into a choke point, and with him having nowhere else to go, lining up a board should be easy. And it was, except I had to learn the hard way that this was not the same guy that I just sank. I was in the presence of no less than 2 double gunning sweat lords, meaning this fight will be a lot more difficult than the previous one. My Wi-Fi blade had struck down the first with a well-timed blunderbomb, knocking the other overboard. I had to play this one more patiently, no jumping into the water this time, though I finally had a chance to use that sword dash cancel that I learned from watching blurbs. The mistake I made at that point was fiddling too much with my inventory as I tried to steal some supplies from them, which gave that guy enough time to come back on the ship, introducing me to the business end of his blunderbuss. Okay, I didn't win that fight, but remember what I said about realistic expectations. My chances of beating them outright were slim, so just having stole them to buy myself some distance was good enough for now to try and come up with a new plan. I had a ways to go in order to get to Golden Sands, which is where Belle awaited the delivery of the enchanted vessel I collected. But for some reason, that Reaper sloop decided to stop chasing me. I mean, it's not like I'm complaining, but it was a bit weird that they'd give up the chase so incredibly quickly, though it didn't take too long for Rare to show me why that was. Oh, that's not good. Being the stupid idiot that I am, I maneuvered myself into a scaly fleet. Trust me, guys, you never want to face one of those on your own if you can help it. Being sandwiched between 2 skelegans is not fun at the best of times, but it's especially dangerous when they start using cursed cannonballs. Think that was bad? Try getting immediately knocked off your ship after having been cursed to sleep. At that moment, I knew that it was game over. My ship was littered in holes, meaning it would take no less than a miracle to save it from sinking. Of course, I tried to find a mermaid to return, but you and I both know that desperation colored my actions more more than determination. And as soon as I got back, the damn thing had sunk. But this wasn't over yet. Sure, I may have lost my ship, but there's one thing I can save. If only I can deliver this enchanted vessel, I can say that I have achieved at least something that day. I took this stupid thing and swam with it to the closest island, which incidentally ended up being Reaper's hideout, which was about the worst island I could have gotten to because I was not the only Reaper on the sea. The sound of cannon fire had attracted my attention, and as I stumbled my way across the island, I spotted the two sloops I fought having engaged in battle. Words cannot describe how much I wish to join them, but any attention that I bring to myself would mean certain doom in the face of the double gunners. I scoured the island for a rowboat, and well, let's just say that I hadn't lost just yet. I was lucky for them to have been fighting in the opposite direction of Golden Sands, allowing me to safely row away to the tune of cannon barrages being exchanged. As a solo slooper, you take W's where you can get them, and if I have to row a singular item to Bell in order to acquire a cosmetic that I have no intention of using, then so be it. And what can I say? Where there is a will, there is a way. Sure, maybe my sloop sank twice, and maybe I lost all the loot from the fort, maybe I even spent more money than I made because of the commodities and supplies I purchased, but it mattered not, for this item was delivered to stand testament to my iron will. And if you enjoyed being taking along a day in the life of a solo slooper, then what about you check out my Griefers episode in which I tried to heist the FOF on my own for the first time, just for the card on screen right now. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching, don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and definitely ring that bell icon to not miss out on my next upload. I hope you guys have a day filled with riches on the sea, and until next time, peace.